Let's take a look at Lidl versus AliExpress LED candles, and they're the new type. They're not the ones that use the fairly hideous, like jittery flickering LEDs. These ones are even pulse modulating. It's causing rolling shutter effects. That's very strange. But anyway, before we go further, I'll turn the lights off and you can see what this looks like, noting that this one is hideously flickery, so I'll give you a flicker warning just in case. Stand by, that's about to happen now. So you can see the Lidl one. And these two AliExpress ones here are actually the subtle effect. They're gently undulating the LED up and down. It's quite a good effect. I'm going to turn this one off because it's hideous. This is the old one, the type that was originally based on Happy Birthday music chips, but it's just a dedicated flickering chip now, and it just jutters up and down between intensity. So I'll turn that one off, and you'll see the other ones are much more subtle. They just undulate gently, and the effect of that is that as it gets brighter, it lights up more of the plastic, and it gives the illusion to the human eye that they're wavering up and down slightly, although there's no actual movement. Okay, watch your eyes. The light is coming back. And the light is back. So I bought these last time I was over, and the little ones, they've got an extra feature I wasn't expecting. There's a little click on, click off button underneath. And when you click it on, it actually starts a timer. So that means there's more circuitry than just an LED. And one of the annoying things is I know that some of these use dedicated gentle flicker LEDs, but I've been looking at AliExpress. I've been trying, if you go on AliExpress and you type in 5mm flickering LEDs 1000 PCS, that's 1000 pieces, you'll find big bags of flickering LEDs in a wide range of colours. The one that's inside this fake flame is it's supposed to be warm white, but it's more sort of creamy colour. Let me just plug this back into the tester here. It's more sort of, it's actually looking better on camera than it is. It looks gaslight. It looks greeny white. It's not a realistic flame colour like these ones, a golden white. But I've been searching from an AliExpress, and all I'm finding are the big huge bags of the standard jittery flickering ones, unless they've subtly started using these ones, but you just don't know what you're getting. Anyway, this one came from Lidl. It came in a pack of 2, quite expensive, but that's okay compared to what I was expecting. And it comes with all the usual stickers. It even comes with half a tree of instructions in every single language. Let's get the stickers off because they're hideous. And I have to say that right off the bat, although this one's got a timer, which is quite nice, these both have AAA cells. This one here is the classic type. It's got this sort of like the spinny contact at the bottom, couple of AA cells in it, which is good because AA's have 3 times the capacity of AAA's. But the other ones have just AAA's. And this one, the construction, I don't know if you're going to see this, it's got a little metal strip coming down and then a sort of ring that's pressed in the end that makes contact with this. And I've already dropped it, and interestingly what happened was when I dropped it, a battery wedged down into that cup. It compressed the spring and wedged down and wouldn't come back out, which meant it didn't work until I'd physically wrestled the battery back out of it because it stopped it from reaching the contacts at the other end. But we'll open these up and we'll take a look at what's inside them. I think we can probably guess what's inside them. I think these are going to be dedicated to self-flickering LEDs with no circuitry. But this one has more. It definitely has more. It's also got a much stiffer cable carrier come up here. These are just like maybe a bit of sleeving around wire. So we'll open them up, and the messiest one for that is, well, I think the messiest one is going to be this wax one because they've kind of potted it in wax. It's quite a nice contact mechanism. It's got a metal barrel here. It's metal barrel all the way up. And then the switch contact here has these little these little metal contacts on either side of the thread. So it makes a decent contact when you screw it in here. So I'm going to pause while I do this. First of all, I'll try, just out of interest, can I pop this little cap out here? Is it glued in? It's going to make loud crunching noises. It's not going to come out easily. Right. Tell you what, I shall pause while I take these apart. 1 moment, please. Behold the carnage, particularly the wax one. And once the wax is removed from the Lidl unit, it's actually, or Lidl as it might be pronounced, it actually shows quite an interesting construction inside. So we'll leave that one to last. The generic AliExpress ones are very simple. Now, I did say that the AA cells will give a much longer runtime. However, this has the advantage that it does cut off. Once you've turned it on with the little clicky switch in the bottom, It does turn off after 6 hours and then on again 18 hours later, so it's lit for 6 hours a day, which will prolong the battery life. It also has, but it's not used, the facility to have infrared operation. However, let's take a look at the most destructive, well actually it wasn't most destructive. The construction of this chunky one that takes the double A's has a battery compartment that is unfortunately glued in, and it is just a self-flickering LED. I can demonstrate that by sticking it across a lithium cell. So this is the positive, and the lithium cell, just checking. As soon as I do that, the LED starts flickering itself. So it is a self-flickering LED for both these ones. The construction was the typical thing. You've got the battery compartment, it's got the metal strip down the side, the little brass ring that goes in the bottom, and then when you screw the battery holder on, its little cup makes contact with that. That's all it is, basically just 3 volts being applied straight to the LED. What was interesting was the way they had an excess of wire inside, and they adjusted the height of this. They basically stuck this little wedge in on either side here. And once they had the filament adjusted to the correct height out of that, they stuffed this down inside and it wedged into position. I'm guessing the LED was probably pre-wired onto it and just all fed in from the inside, and then the wedge was just used to finish it off. Same with this one, with smaller wedges, just these little wedges here. And looking inside the flashlight is just the same again. It's the plastic insert, the battery holding insert, the same little ring here, same little brass cup, and then brass, probably steel, hold on, little brass ring, magnet, the same brass coloured steel, and it's just the same flickering LED. There's no other circuitry in there. A little bit of soft sleeving in here, and then the 2 little wedges that go on this. I shall put them on it, in fact, and wedge it in. So just sit those little wedges on like this. Watch me screw it up with my big fumbly fingers. That goes in like that. You could adjust the height of the wick you wanted sticking out and then wedge it down, and that's it in position. I'm guessing that they just pushed the LED through and then glued the LED into the end of this afterwards, because you couldn't really fit the whole flame through here. The more interesting one, the one that was covered in wax that I had to slit off, it has an ordinary LED, and I'm guessing once again it was glued in afterwards because it doesn't fit through the assembly either. But there is a circuit board in here with a little support, and on the circuit board is a quartz crystal, probably 32.768 kilohertz, divided down with a simple, this is probably a Paduk type microcontroller, and it derives its timing from that. It has the facility here for, let me zoom down a bit in this. It has the facility for the infrared receiver as well, but as it is, it's just using the short stub of LED on, and then to assemble this, they put this wedge on, and they have the LED pre-wired onto this, and they stuff it into a slot here, and it stops at a specific height. And then they take the aluminium tube and they shove it over and they jam the spring round with lots of squeaking, scrunchy noises. They screw it on like this, and that's more or less it. They put this cover on, glue the LED into this flame effect, sit it up at the right height, and then this is glued because it was destructive to take apart, and it's put on like that. Then the whole lot is put into a mould that is clearly clamping. You can actually see a little indent here, clamping round here and protecting it from the wax. But you can see where the wax, where they've put it down vertically, down like this, into a mould, filled it up with wax up to the top, presumably with this off and a little bung put in to stop wax going into it. And you can see the wax is wicked up into this, and that creates this sort of wax exterior. And I can show you the circuit board in close-up and a schematic. It's not that exciting. Here is the circuit board. I shall have to zoom out because it's quite a long, thin circuit board. What we have is the positive contact, which doesn't look at those got a lot of support here. It's kind of soldered onto a little, I don't know if a little tab comes down into this. But there's the spring for the negative, there's the little cup for the positive. There's a decoupling capacitor, there's the crystal, but it's mounted on the other side, a microcontroller, the 3 connections for the infrared remote control, and then the LED is being driven directly without a resistor, because presumably this is just optimized for driving low current outputs and for LEDs as such. Or it may be the LED is just optimized for operation. I can find that. Oh no, because it's just a standard LED. So if I stuck this in the power supply, it would just pass lots of current most likely. One moment, I'm just going to do that. Yeah, at 3 volts it's passing 60 milliamps, so not ideal. It's just a standard LED. So a part of this, the control of the current through the LED, will simply be the fact it is a white LED, a gallium nitride LED, so it has a fairly highish voltage of about 3 volts. That the slight drop on the output of the pin means they can drive it directly. They're just going for the maximum intensity of the LED, and it is just matching the battery voltage. I can show you the schematic. It's not that exciting. Here's the schematic. There's the 2 AAA cells. There's the little switch in the back. There's the decoupling capacitor, the infrared receiver, the microcontroller, its little crystal, 32.768 kilohertz most likely, and then the LED, and that's it. So there we have it. This still means I have to somehow find what are the magic keywords on AliExpress for finding the actual flickering LEDs like this that have that pattern built in. It's a shame this one's glued in. Oh, tell you what though, is it stuck in with hot melt glue? Let's drizzle some isopropyl alcohol or isopropanol in. Is it going to loosen it up? Because that usually melts hot melt glue. Or is it glued in? It's not coming out. That may be glued in with something more ferocious than isopropanol. Hot melt glue. I'll get it right at some point. I don't think that's coming out. No, that's glued in quite tightly. That's okay. But you can just stick this across 3 volts and it will just light up. I'll just pour isopropyl alcohol all over the bench. But there we have it. It's an interesting evolution of the LEDs, that they've gone from that harsh flickering to this soft undulating glow. It's quite a nice effect. It's more convincing than the original flickery LED candles. And the Lidl one is the most complex of all. It's quite a nice construction. It's quite well engineered. But ultimately my winner here, for my personal preference, is the one that takes the big fat AA cells and just as a simple self-flickering LED. But there we have it. The flickering LED candle showdown. I would say the AliExpress one. I'll provide a link to this one. It's quite nice. But of course, if you want the ones that have got the real wax feel to them and that construction, then that's your call. But these ones are more available to everybody. Certainly Lidl's not available in, there are Lidls in America, but they're kind of few and far between. But there we have it, the LED candle showdown.